Have you struggled with forgiving yourself for something in the past? How can God's grace help you move forward? Life isn't about being perfect. It's about progress, redemption, and finding the courage to say, it is okay. And Keith, it's been a minute, but I'm glad to be here with you today.
It's been a minute, and it's okay.
I hope this podcast is going to be okay.
I hope it's better than okay. We do have some avid listeners and viewers, and I've had some questions about
Where
we've
show?
been. And Mitch has gotten a new role in the church, so we took a few weeks off to let him get situated.
This layman is now a student ministry director.
Still a layman though.
Still layman.
Still, so we don't have to call the show something
Can't
different.
get any lamer than right here.
So,
Which the youth kindly remind me of.
yes, you are very lame to the youth,
Yes,
but that's expected.
that's expected.
So
You sent me some great 40-year-old youth.
Oh my God, I struck while the iron was hot.
It was
I didn't let you ease into the role.
bitterly offensive. It was great.
Yeah.
I appreciated it. Thanks
Yeah,
for that.
you know, like the meme of is it Rob Schneider, or where he's got like the skateboard and the Slayer T-shirt on, and he's like, "What's up, my fellow high schoolers?" And it's from like a movie or something,
Okay.
where he has to like get in but pretend to like fit in or whatever. It's like a meme now, so you just change it to like, so you'd be like, "Hello there, youth kids," you know what I mean, like trying to relate.
Yeah, well, I'll give you my secret to being cool, Keith.
Don't try.
Just be.
Just be, or just be you.
Just be cool. It's not trying to be cool.
Yeah.
You just got to be cool.
Yeah, you're pretty good at being cool.
Be cool.
I'm not. So,
Your words, not mine, my friend. Your words, not mine.
Hey,
But
so we're starting a new 2-week series about forgive.
it's not
and
really a series.
forget. Yes, if it's more than one, it's a series.
Two-parter.
A 2-part. We're doing a 2-part.
It is a
show.
series because in baseball teams we can play a 2-game series. So
Okay.
it's approved. If
Uh,
baseball
okay.
says it's a series,
Baseball.
I
logic.
agree.
Baseball logic. So and I'll preface this forgive and forget with the forget is kind of like not meaning that you forget about it per se, right? Like because you can never really forget something that's happened that was impactful, in a negative way to you. But it's about how do you move beyond dwelling on it.
don't
and whatnot.
dwell.
Right.
All right.
So, Mitch, share time with me when you did something or said something and you got instant regret for it.
When you asked me to co-host a podcast, I'm kidding. Man, I just haven't had time. We haven't had time to banter like this in the last couple of weeks. I'm got like a Reese's commercial. Sorry, not sorry.
Sorry,
to
not
the
sorry.
listening audience because
Did you instantly regret what you just said?
No,
Oh, okay.
no.
I was going to be like,
So-
that would be a good example.
So funny story, funny little insight into my life. I live with very few regrets. I genuinely don't have like instant regret on stuff. I do think there's, like the buyer's remorse
Okay.
kicks in a
Yeah,
lot,
okay.
right? Like I do get that emotion. Like when you make any sort of
yeah.
a big purchases or something,
Mm-hmm.
like immediately you're like, oh boy,
Yeah. You
like-
don't then go out to dinner and
yeah, you need a vehicle.
yeah.
And so then you get a vehicle and then you get home and you're like, I don't know. I don't know if that was the right choice.
Yeah.
Oh
I've
so
been there.
I do get
I do that with houses too. You buy a house and
Oh,
then you
yeah.
kind of get in, you're like, oh, I didn't see this.
Oh,
I
yeah.
didn't see that, and I didn't see this, and I
Oof.
didn't see that. And then it's like this regret. You go from happy to like then regretting because you're not in a house long enough in the buying process
Mhm.
to be cognizant of all the things. And then sometimes just the natural things are covering up stuff. Not like they're trying to hide anything, but like, you've got pictures on the wall and rugs on the floor and stuff, and all that stuff's gone, you can kind of see those defects a little bit more in the house.
One time, here's one. But is this signing up for something we immediately regret, or said or did something?
Yeah, let me give you an example. Let me give you an example
I need
of my
to.
life.
Yeah, I need to think more about like immediate like offensive behavior that was like poor form.
Well,
And-
so I got a really good example that I told somebody recently. We were in our first house when we lived in Georgia, and I had. So what I do is all my financial documents, bills, tax stuff, whatever that comes in that's important. Once I'm done with it, I burn it. Right? I don't put it in the recycling or the trash. It's just something my parents did, so I do. Right? And so I had the first house had tons of documents, right? And so I got a little fire pit, and lit this fire pit on, turned it on, or kind of get some wood in it and stuff. And the first thing about this is that I put it on my deck, right? Like my second story deck with it wasn't in the yard. It
I
was
can
on
see
the
how
deck.
this is going to be immediately regrettable.
Okay. And it's burning. Everything's actually going well. You put a couple pieces of paper in it, you put the lid on it, it burns up, or whatever. But I had some checkbooks from an old checking account, and I didn't really want them to be floating out there. Somebody grab them, start writing bad checks or something. So I'm like, I'm gonna burn these checkbooks. And so I like try to rip it in half to whatever, and it's like a checkbook. You can't do that. So I kind of
I mean, it ain't exactly a phone
I know,
book, Keith.
I know, but I
Come
toss it.
on.
I'm weak, okay? So I toss it in this fire. It's not burning, right? Like it's just so thick that it's just, and it's not a big raging fire I built. It's just, it's just a tiny little fire. And so I'm like, oh, I need to get this thing to, flame up a little bit, right? So I go inside and I grab some Everclear
This is
that I happen to have from
This
a
is
buddy
poor choices.
that was over and left it or whatever. And I'm like, oh, this is like
Very flammable.
this is like gasoline or something, like this will be great. So I got myself a little Pyrex measuring cup, poured me about half a cup, right? Not a ton. It wasn't like,
that's a
bunch.
lot.
Yeah, I know. And I confidently go out there, toss this thing on the fire, right? And whoosh. And half the Everclear ends up out of the fire pit onto the deck, flaming. My deck's basically on fire. It's not burning, right? But it's basically on fire. Instant regret. I'm like, why did I do this, right? So I run inside. I grab a pitcher of water that we happen to have, tossed it on it, put it out. There's no burn mark on the deck, right? Just the alcohol's burning off on it or whatever. It's probably one of the stupidest things I've ever done in my life, and I've done a lot of stupid things.
Yeah, now we're really drilling down in these questions. It's not when you said or did something you immediately regretted. It's what was the really stupid stuff you did.
Yeah, and I think we can now. In that moment, I didn't hurt anybody else per se, right? Like I didn't do something that hurt my wife. I didn't do something that did anything like that. But I just kind of hurt my own ego and pride. But we do things that hurt other people too. Sometimes we say stuff and then we're like, oh man, I shouldn't have said that. Or we do stuff that then later we're just like, oh man, that was just not the right thing to say.
Regardless, it's a poor emotion to have. The regret. It feels horrible.
Oh, okay, yeah. I just wanted to make sure you weren't saying like, oh, you should just never feel regret. You should just be okay with everything you do.
Yeah, it's okay. No, that's
No,
not.
you should feel regret. We all mess up, and we should feel bad for messing up.
Yeah,
right?
it's auto correction. It should help you to make a better choices next time.
Yeah, no, I would agree with that.
But sometimes you struggle with like that self-perception of sometimes we can be our own worst critics, right? We can be harder on ourselves and we'll really beat ourselves up over something that we think we're being self-critical of and no one else is.
Yeah.
No one else thinks it was that egregious. It didn't affect the people we thought it affected
Yeah.
in such an egregious way. So, that's also part of it.
Yeah, and I think some of that comes down to things like social media and
Oh,
people
just comparing ourselves to others?
comparing ourselves to other people, especially in a limited fashion, right? Like people that can edit their lives
Did you know this
and
is like a hot topic button for me?
social media
No comparison.
comparison. Why?
It's just I think it's one of those things that um I I naturally do this well in my spiritual faith practices.
Mm-hmm.
So therefore I like it as a topic, right?
Okay.
So comparison is a root cause of discontentment.
Okay. I could see that.
Discontentment is ingratitude for what you have. Gratitude spawns contentment. Discontentment is a product of anger. If you're discontent, you're angry, you're ungrateful. So there's an ingratitude that comes with discontentment. Without comparison, you don't end up with that discontentment.
Well, you're less likely to end up with it. You can still be discontent about other things, right?
But usually they come, I'm going to say 9 times out of 10, they come because of comparison of some sort. So we can compare in a favorably or unfavorably. And when we compare self to self, ourselves to ourselves, it can be very healthy in tracking progress, tracking, I'm learning a new, I'm watching these YouTube videos because I want to be a great sketch artist. I want to sketch. I want to be able to sketch really
puppy
well,
dogs and
right? Yeah. So I'm watching these videos and I'm sketching. And at the end of a week of watching hour-long videos and sketching along, I can do one of two comparisons. I can compare my work to where it was a week ago and be content with the progress I've made over 5 hours, an hour a day over the course of a week of sketching. Or I can compare my work unnecessarily to the artist teaching me, who I have no idea how many countless hours that artist has into it, and then say, I am trash. I am a worthless artist. I obviously do not have what it takes to do this. I'm a failure.
Yeah.
Two comparisons in the exact same situation. One,
you
compare yourself to yourself.
Yeah.
The other, you compare up inappropriately.
Yeah.
It's an inappropriate comparison. I naturally have some of this has been cultivated over my lifetime, but I think only because I have a natural propensity to not make those irresponsible comparisons.
Now, what about so I agree with you completely. I think a lot of my comparisons in life now, where I'm in now, right, is I want to get your thoughts on this, right? When I look at other people and other families, and like we've got this one neighbor, right, who's like, I swear their family's never home. They're going on this vacation or that vacation, or they're going camping, or they're doing this, they're doing that. And we do like one vacation a year, right? We go to Minnesota. Sometimes we'll do a second one. And sometimes I'm like, man, are we not spending enough? Like, are we not doing that enough? Like, are we not giving our kids something by experiencing other places, and not necessarily let's go have fun, let's go to Disneyland every year or every 6 months or whatever, but like going to a great example would be there's a 7th grade trip to Washington, D.C. that the school's like putting together, right? And I went to D.C. Sean and I went to D.C. before kids. It was great. It was a great experience, right? Um, but I'm like, like my initial reaction is like, nah, for a various reasons, right? One, I'd like to take, my
Yeah.
seventh grader to DC, right? And then two, like I also want, you know, I always think about what age the kid is, and if they're gonna remember it or not. Like I want memories to be formed that stay with them for a long time. That's not gonna happen for a 2-year-old, right? Like you take a 2-year-old to Disney, by the time they're 5, they don't even remember they went to Disney, right? Um, but so like, does that kind of comparison, like, obviously it's bad if I dwell on it, right? Where I'm like, man, they're going on a bunch of vacations, and then I get that maybe a little resentment, and then a little like resentment with myself that I'm not
Mhm.
providing enough.
Yeah, and I think with a lot of things too, to drill into what you're talking about here, I think a lot of things is you also have to, for your own health, have to, it's better for you personally to extend more benefit of the doubt,
Mm,
right? So it's better for your relationship with others, and it's better for you interpersonally with, or within yourself, to extend a benefit of the doubt. So don't make assumptions about um, what you don't know
mm-hmm.
factually about folks that you find yourself accidentally in this comparison trap with.
Okay.
You don't know, the dynamics of the family. You don't know the financial situation. You don't know their calendaring stuff. You don't know other habits that they have going on. So maybe maybe the lifestyle that they're leading or living fully functions within the situation they have. Maybe they do different kid activities, or they prioritize things differently than you prioritize things, and you have to bring that. You have to say, what works for me, what works for my family. Why am I comparing to this other family, and what about this comparison is driving my discontentment? And then that's what you can dial in on.
Yeah, I would agree with
So
that.
I want to, well, would like to travel more. Well, what priorities in my life can I realign and have conversations with my family to see if that priority aligns with them as well? I know oftentimes with my kids, I'll think, oh, we got this break coming up
Yeah.
from school. And we'll be like, oh, yeah, well, maybe we should go somewhere. It's a 4-day weekend. Oh, we should do something. All right, well, I
Yeah.
wonder where we could go. Well, let's go in driving distance, because whenever you have these school breaks, like plane tickets are
Oh,
expensive, and
yeah.
the bigger your family gets, the more, so
Yep.
like, well, maybe we should do driving distance. Okay, well, where should we
What's
go?
a reasonable
Well,
driving
we can go
distance,
to the
right?
mountains. Okay, we can go to the mountains. You could make it south to the ocean, but that's a
That's a
that's a
long
big
time.
drive. The most direct ocean, it wouldn't be the favorite one for me to go to.
Golf.
So I love the Gulf, maybe just not the, drive straight
Mississippi,
south and
Texas.
hit it.
Yeah.
Not my
I think
favorite.
it's 13 hours to like Corpus or something.
Yeah. So yeah, you have all those dynamics, and then I always remind myself, wait a minute. I'll just ask the kids. Like,
Sure.
and sometimes they're like, no, I don't want to go anywhere.
Yeah.
Right? Like, this break is going to be nice because,
I just want to sit on the couch.
yeah,
And,
I want to do
yeah.
a puzzle.
yeah. Yeah.
You're like, and for me, I'm like, who wants to do a puzzle? But I'm glad you're content. I'm glad they can find contentment
Yes.
with a puzzle.
And I would probably take it one step further, right? Not that I actually compare myself that much to my neighbor that goes on vacation a lot, but sometimes it makes you wonder. I always take it a step further and say, well, what's the to your point, what's the reason behind me looking at that? Is it because really at the root cause is that I want more family time where we're just together doing an activity, and it's not really the travel that bothers me. It's just wanting the kids to experience something different. Well, I could take them down to the Nelson Atkins
Exactly.
museum, right? And they can experience something that they haven't experienced before. We can be together as a family, go get a slice of pizza, costs almost nothing at that point, So it is sometimes that stuff kind of goes to my mind. If I'm starting to go down the comparison route, I'm like, well, what's the root cause?
Yep,
Why am
exactly.
I comparing at this point?
What
And then,
what part of this comparison is creating my discontentment?
right? Yeah, yeah, I would completely agree with that. Um, and I think that, kind of to backtrack for a second, that self comparison there with somebody I know is also wildly different than like scrolling through Facebook and seeing all these, like people that all they seem to do is be on vacation and eat in fancy restaurants and all that kind of stuff. And then it makes you, I think, instead of,
Well, it's like the highlight reel,
Yeah.
right? And I think also,
a highly edited highlight reel.
well, that's what highlight reels are.
Yeah.
They're highly edited. I love honesty in IRL, right? In real life,
Mhm.
like just some honesty about what you got going on, and no one posts that. We're talking about it on a little bit on Sunday. We're talking about some Old Testament recordings of Scripture and how the story of God is this undulating ups and downs for the Israelite people, and it's a self-recorded histories, right,
Mhm.
of all these bad decisions and mistakes that they
Yeah.
made, and these falling away,
Yeah.
and then God rescuing them, and them returning, and them falling away, and worshiping false gods, and building idols,
Mhm.
and coming back to God, and I think that's what I love about the truth of Scripture is it's a journal. It's more like a
history.
private journaled history, less
Mhm.
like a Instagram highlight reel,
Yeah.
because it would have been a way shorter story, to use our social media, vernacular.
Yeah.
Would have been a way shorter story, a way shorter reel, if it would have just been like the highlights of like
Jesus is
like-
Jesus is alive,
like-
right? Like his
like-
birth.
like Red Sea, yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
it's like sweet, 10 Commandments on the mountain, Red Sea, awesome. We're doing all these great walking on water, but anyway,
There's some truth into the ugliness of
yes,
people
yes.
in the Bible, right? Like there's some
It
real
should
life
give us
truth.
permission to be honest with ourselves, and be vulnerable enough to share with others our realities.
yeah.
So as the new youth guy, I'm gonna have to,
As we
I'm gonna-
like to say, the zany
the
guy.
zany youth director, I'm gonna have to probably dabble my toes into the murky waters of social media, which I've
Yeah.
yet to do. At this
Which I
point in
find
life,
hilarious
it's
that you're going to have to do it.
I
because
don't
you've
know that
stayed
I
away
am
for so
yet.
long.
I really don't know that I
think
am yet. I may
think
take
that's great.
alternate avenues.
Well, I think you've got kids that age, so I think you're going to be able to connect well with most of the stuff. They're going to come home with whatever the skibbity, riz or what language and all that kind of stuff. So you're already going to have like an in there, right? But I think that this stuff really impacts the social media aspect of it. I think impacts kids more. Because when I use social media, I use it for to laugh, to see some funny stuff, right? See some cute kittens,
I will.
food, lots of food.
will admit, I love a good cat video.
I love a good cat
Now
video.
you got to show me the good cat video. They don't get. I don't have an avenue for them to just
Right.
get fed to me. But when somebody says, "Look at this cat,"
It was like, and I'll give you a great example. Last night, we're sitting on the couch. It was like 20 minutes before bedtime, so we're not starting a TV show. We're just kind of chilling, letting the kids kind of unwind for the day. And I grab my phone because I get an alert about something, and I'm looking at it, and I'm on Instagram or whatever, right? And the thing is I'm so confident at what the algorithm has picked for me in Instagram that like my middle child Piper's just sitting next to me watching, and I'm just scrolling, and because it's all food, it's like food videos and stuff like that, because that's kind of what I use it for. People that are trying this and smoking or barbecuing or cooking or whatever. And that's all it is just, food. And then, you get the occasional
Cat video.
cat video or cute dog video or something like that.
I don't do dog videos.
I generally scroll past them unless the dog's doing something really funny. Now, what we did last night, get a couple panda videos, and that was hilarious. Them just,
Baby pandas?
baby pandas,
So fluffy.
Oh gosh, they're so funny. But I would say in that if you couldn't open your social media right now and show it to a 10-year-old and not be embarrassed or have to explain adult humor or whatever, then maybe that's not the social media you should be consuming, right? And I think that's the thing that, unfortunately for you as the zany youth guy, I bet if you went on social media and actually used it, it would probably be a lot of baseball stuff, right? Like, and it won't connect with the kids anyways because they're interested in something else. So the social media and the algorithms send them other things, right? And so when you're interested, like my oldest, right, 13, if she had social media, which she's banned from social media until she leaves the house, because I just think it's terrible for youth. I guarantee it'd be makeup videos, looks, because that's what she's like, her orbit, right now is she's got to look good. She's got to look max, as the kids say.
Ooh, that's a new one.
She needs to glow. Oh, you didn't know the max? Oh, man.
I do now, though.
You know the glow up, right?
You filled me in last week.
All right. So yeah, it would be glow up videos. It would be how to look max. It would be all this kind of stuff. And I think that's when you start breeding that malcontent,
Oh yeah.
right? Oh, well, if I only had this lipstick,
Well,
it
and
would
I
be so
think,
much better.
and I don't know, this just turned into a social media bashing podcast, but
Sorry. If you're watching us on social media,
yeah, if you're
we're the good stuff on social media.
yeah, if you're following along here, podcasts are just fine.
Oh, I love podcasts.
Podcasts, see, very good, useful source of information. This is
Podcasts
my
are not social media.
fourth podcast of the day. The only one I've pitched into the production of. There are other three I consumed. So
Yeah.
podcast.
Podcasts are great. I'd let Penny listen to. She has listened to mystery podcasts and stuff. Anyways, so I think to kind of wrap this up in a final thought or final question, we've talked a lot about what we've done that we might regret, right? What things that we've done that we might regret. And, we kind of said in the intro that it's about progress. Life isn't about being perfect. You're going to make the mistakes. It isn't about progress, or it's about progress, redemption, and finding courage to say it's okay. But the reason that we say that it's okay to mess up is not because it's just inherently okay, but that it's about asking God for forgiveness for what you've done, and then turning towards God in the future, and then God forgives us for those past sins, right? And so for me, God's forgiveness, that action of God's grace, giving us his grace, is connected with forgiving ourselves as well,
Yes.
right? And so if God can forgive us, why can't we forgive ourselves? What are your thoughts on that?
No, that's 100%. I'm on board with that. Like, how we compare ourselves to others has no bearing on our relationship with God. And when we start recognizing that our relationship with God is uniquely us and God, and no one else has that, right? No one else has a relationship that is me and God,
Mm-hmm.
because it's them and God.
Mm-hmm.
So when we recognize that we have this unique relationship that others aren't, their bearing isn't on that, or how we compare ourselves isn't on that same, doesn't affect that relationship, why would we not, if God's willing to forgive us for something, why would we not forgive ourselves?
Yeah.
Think about that in other relationships. if you were in a relationship and you did something to break trust, to break, to hurt that relationship, and the other person looks you in the eye and says, "It's okay. I forgive you. It's okay." Why on earth would you say, no, it's not.
No,
I can't,
it's not.
I can't forgive myself.
Yeah.
You know, we can never be friends again.
Yeah.
And they're like, no, it's okay. I forgive you. Nope. Don't accept it. Right? Like,
here's your forgiveness back.
yeah.
Yeah. And we
Why
do
do
that.
we- why do we do that with God?
We do that. Yeah. Yeah.
And
Well,
if just our forgiveness is just a flash in the pan comparison to God's ability to love and forgive, if anyone else's ability to forgive us, to love us, is just a glimpse of the reality of God's capability, then why do we not succumb to that overwhelming grace that's offered us? We resist it so much. I don't know.
yeah.
But that's your homework. Try not
It's going to take a little lifetime.
try not to resist it. Try to embrace it.
Yeah. That's it. That's all the time we got.
Oh man.
That's it. It felt like the time flew by.
Well, we need to do more shows.
Yeah. Well, join us next week for the second part to this Forgive and Forget series.
Yeah, don't forget.
Bye.
Bye guys.